Welcome back, everyone. Today is a Thursday. This will be the last streams of the week, but it should be good. Let's end on a banger. Welcome to Paul Cripps as well. Welcome to Evolving. I think that is the first. You're the first member in Evolving. Yeah, thanks for the support. We will be starting relatively soon. Just gonna give it a little bit longer for some people to join up, and you should be good. We have 10 people here at the moment. 10, 12 people. How's everyone doing? EPEP, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, Macho. Welcome to the streams. Welcome to everybody in London as well, or kind of UK time, when it's usually more later for us, right? That's why I don't really typically have like very upbeat music towards the end of the day when there's not much volume. You know, we're not expecting a push. We're not doing anything. We're just doing some pretty basic analysis of the charts, right? Am I going to take a trade? Brother, there is no volume. I've seen gold push 1 pip in the last 5 minutes. What do you want me to take? Let's measure. I'm going to measure this last 5 minute candle, which was a total of 1.9 pips. How am I supposed to trade that? Are my stop loss going to be half a pip? And I close full at 2 pips? Yeah, not possible. But this session is intended to give you guys a little bit of understanding as to what potentially happens tomorrow, right? Typically for this session, what we look for is, we kind of look at what gold did today, and then we have a look at, okay, so where's gold now? What's it doing? Where could we go to tomorrow? What could we be expecting in terms of sells and buys, right? Are we in a range? Are we consolidating? Just a bunch of that kind of analysis. Yeah, man. 1 pip spread. I mean, that's if your spreads are 1 pip. Yeah, welcome back, everyone. A couple more people in here. Hope everybody is doing well. EvolutionDVS squad is also in here. Last day of the week, guys. This is the last analysis for the week because today is a Thursday evening, right? Friday is the last day of the week, last trading day of the week for gold, and the weekend is for you to relax, right? We'll be back Sunday. Should be alright. Also, I haven't decided yet, but you know how Huss usually streams pre-New York, right, guys? And I think he's now streaming 2 or 3 days of the week. I may be moving to something like that, or just kind of freeing up 1 day of my week, or one evening. We'll see which day that is, but we'll see. just so I can, in the background, kind of develop more stuff for DVS. Yeah, SG is streaming in his place. So they're kind of like combined one session pre New York, which is a pretty good time to be honest for London because it's like smack bang in the middle of like 10, 11 a.m. or something like that. It's pretty much perfect. I don't think my charts have changed at all today. Hope everybody's had a good day. I don't know if anybody got a trade today. It was a pretty interesting day. I don't think I personally didn't get any positions, but maybe some of you guys had. We'll find out, right? But yeah, I feel like towards the end of the day, chill music is the way to go. Anything too upbeat, and it's just, man, we're winding down for the day. Do you think this drive up is grabbing orders before it can come down, or is it on a nice smooth trend right now on the lower time frames? Well, we'll find out. I have no idea right now. Elvis, for how long have I been trading? Right, so I'm guessing me, right? So I started trading with Don officially in like kind of March, like mid-March last year, 2023. So about we're coming towards a year now. And I think yeah, total before that I was trying one other strategy, but kind of like wasn't really trading too much. Um, and that was only like a month. So I'm not a full-time trader. I do have a job, which is I think a very good way to start learning trading, right? Because then you're not dependent on making money on trading. So you get rid of that FOMO aspect and greed. Hey, Kartik, got 15 pips on a demo. I mean, 15 pips is 15 pips, right? What is my job? I'm a business architect or kind of like a overall technology architect, and I do strategy. I don't know if I can say more about that actually. Let's keep it at that. How are you planning on making the transition to full-time trading? Uh, I mean, it's just going to be a natural progression. Um, Honestly, I don't like, I'm not in a rush, right? If I want to do full-time trading, I'll eventually, once I kind of feel more confident about it, or like I feel like, okay, it's time to make that transition over, then yeah, I'll probably do that, right? But in the meantime, I don't want to give myself additional pressure and stress by having to make money like 100% per month, um, just to pay rent or like, bills or whatever, right? If you can find that income source somewhere else and then trade on the side, that is the best way to learn, hands down. Why did I start streaming? So essentially, I started following Don, right? And then I went to his Miami course and all that. And we just started talking, quite a lot, thinking about like, how we could grow DVS and all that. And I mean, I always knew that Wix was streaming as well. And there's a lot of gaps at that time, even before Janez started streaming. So Janez jumped on board a little bit earlier than I did. But I was never going to take London session because it's a little bit too early for me and I have work during the day. So I decided to take up pre-Asian to do analysis because I understand the overall strategy quite well. Um, and I'm kind of more focused on teaching people while trying to also improve myself. So the streams are kind of dual purpose in that sense. Why are you why are you lit live in the middle of the night? Why are you here? You're supposed to sleep. Yeah, I don't know where you based, Kartik. It's not in the middle of the night for me. It's like 10:15, right? PM still, but right after stream's a good bet. Is it going to be once your withdrawals cover your basic needs? Nah, I don't even think that's going to be it. I think it's going to be overall just whenever I feel comfortable with being able to deposit a large amount of money into an account and then trade that comfortably. And I think like I can probably look towards doing that now, but I want to like really confirm that it's like yeah, it should be fine, and that's just going to take time, right? Like if I've been learning for a year, right, in March, right, since March, then I'll probably need another like couple months at least to figure out like, oh yeah, so I've had 1 or 2 profitable months. That doesn't show me anything. I probably need like 6 or 7 profitable months, and then after that, I can probably say that yeah, I'm getting close to consistency, right? You want to get into my personal life too much, but a good business structure for taxes, or I mean, it depends where you are, man. Taxes are so different everywhere. If you're a US citizen, it's so different, right? So I used to be, or I was born in LA, so I did have a US passport, but I had to give that up because of tax purposes. So it really depends on where you are and what kind of company you're opening up, and kind of where that company is based. Where are your employees based? Who are you selling to? Are you selling internationally? There's so many things, man. It's difficult to kind of just give you a broad answer right now. Yeah, Jacob, I was born in LA. I swear I've been through this. Yeah, man, I've got a pretty weird background history. Am I coming to UK DVS camp? Yes, I will be at the UK DVS camp. It's the in-person, right? So whoever if wants to go, I think I'll be there. I don't know if I'll be there every single day because I might have work to do, right? But I'll try to be there if it's like the weekend or whatever. And then obviously I'll be there for the meet and greet, right? It's not like actually released yet in terms of like the specific time, but around April, I would say. It's early morning, you're supposed to wake up 30, 60 minutes to go to work, can't sleep. Wow, you have 1 hour sleep left. I mean, you should probably just dedicate that full to sleep and not actually look at the charts, but I'll leave that up to you. Yeah, yeah, Mo, if you want to, yeah, it's like the Miami in person. Essentially, it's an in-person course. If you want to go, you have to pay for the kind of overall ticket to get in, like the course ticket essentially. And then on top of that, you have to kind of sort out your like flights and everything like that. Cool, guys. It is we have 36 people. Jesus, I just had a look. Right, we're gonna get started here. Firstly, we're gonna look at what gold did. So I'm gonna go to the slightly higher time frame, and we're just gonna compare what gold did to what we analyzed yesterday, right? So we found that gold closed respecting, I think it was 2002, sorry, 2000 and like 5 point something, yeah, 2005, 2006 point something, right? So overall, this is not my sales below. My sales below was somewhere else, but our level was around here. Then we kind of had another level around, around 2017, right? And then also 2021. This is kind of overall what we're expecting for price to grab in terms of liquidity. Why? Right? We're just looking at when was the last time you were able to break below 2005, right? Just looking left, you broke below here, right? So before you were able to break below because you didn't here, just zoom in real quick. Your 4 hour didn't break below. You came back up, grabbed liquidity, towards around these areas, right? Top of the range around 2021 sorts of areas, up to this top wick, which is all the way up to around 2022 6. But now we've tapped it, right? So that's exactly what we were looking for. But it just took a little bit longer to happen, right? If news did tap it and started flipping bearish, we may have gotten positions, but because it didn't and didn't happen in time, then we probably didn't have any higher time frame positions. But overall, that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of liquidity that needs to be grabbed. But we're also understanding that now price has kind of slowed down here. we've slowed down, we've stopped around these areas. So if I'm looking for higher time frame wicks, it can't be here anymore. It needs to be even further up if I'm still looking for sells, right? But overall, in terms of the move that we were expecting yesterday, it came up towards where we were thinking about the wick needing to be, right? So pretty decent analysis, I would say. But that's kind of done and dusted. Let's go towards the monthly and start our overall breakdown once again. So let's draw our two favorite lines for January, right? I love these lines. January, these are my favorite lines in January. But December, we close bullish. Understanding that closing bullish, respecting a range means that there's a high chance you're going to still need more liquidity to drive up past that range, right? Because you don't have a breakout. So in that case, we're expecting a range fill back down towards 1991. And if you were towards around 2001 yesterday, and now you start to reject back up, but what is this? What part of the move is this? Is this the part where price is just retracing a little bit to create a lower high, and then the next kind of move for tomorrow's candle may be a lower low, right? Who knows? But we're also towards the end of the week, right? So towards the end of the week, you typically see more of a retracement for the weekly candle, right? So maybe on the weekly candle, we'll be able to see that. But overall understanding on the monthly, there is still range to drive down, right, towards 1991. If we want to grab more liquidity, it may be outside of this range as well. So as that's happening, we're understanding that the smaller time frames are going to print us some overall range to come down potentially to grab liquidity, right? So if that's the case, we're still understanding that we're overall bearish for the month still at the moment. But because we've closed bullish, we could end up getting a candle which looks like this. Let me just draw that out. Something that looks like this, where we have, we're going to replace this candle, right? But something that looks like this above the range with kind of a bottom width like this, if the monthly flips, because our previous monthly is very, very bullish, right? Previous monthly is this, all the way to these areas, right? So we have a wick fill, number one. Number two, that is a very disgusting candle. I apologize for that. Something like this, right? So if these are our candles, we're understanding that if we just look at what price did, it came up all the way to here, closed bullish still here, came down, right? If this is our bottom wick, and then we start breaking back up, what can we expect? We can expect a range fill. And this is what a wick fill is as well, right? A wick is a range on the higher time frame. So once that's happening, we're understanding that overall structure for the monthly and in general for gold on the higher time frames is bullish. And if that is the case, then cool. We're expecting a higher high eventually. And if we're expecting a higher high, then we can expect first the range fill up to all-time highs, which is this wick, and then potentially pushing past that, right? So, oops, let's not do that. Let's clear all of this. So yeah, so the monthly, we still have range to come down, right? We still do have one more week to trade. I think on the monthly, we have next week, which is from the 22nd to the 26th, and then also 3 days the week after that. So we have a total of, what is it, 9 trading days left, which is very much enough for price to start flipping on the monthly and start breaking above. So if that does happen, cool. We're understanding that there's a high chance that price is going to continue up to fill up these ranges here to the left. But at the moment, that hasn't happened yet, so wait for the monthly closure. And at any given point, price can continue driving down towards that monthly goal of 931. Okay, so weekly. Weekly, I would say we previously have this as our overall range. I would say let's mark up 1991 again, which is approximately around here, which is these highs, these highs. Overall, I would put this more towards around either around here or here. Understanding that last time you did close bearish back into this range, you started filling down to these areas, right? Here you rejected, here you rejected, it came down towards here. So you have some levels towards around 1970, 75 sorts of areas, this wick, and then further levels down at 1934, right? So if these are our overall two ranges here, we will firstly need a breakout on the weekly for us to confirm any sort of bearish momentum to continue down, right? If our weekly candle closes like this, right, bearish below the range, understanding that we're potentially mirroring some of this structure to the left. If that is the case, we'll look for a top wick where somewhere similar to these areas, right? So top wick around these areas, and once you get that flip, we'll be potentially looking for positions to come down to fill number one, this range, right, on your higher time frame. That's your advantage point, and then overall target towards around here, right? So if that's what we're expecting on the weekly, let's have a look at how we can potentially get that closure tomorrow, right? So at the moment, your weekly is still above the range, but we did re-break the lows, I think, yesterday. So at any given point, this could be, again, the retracement to come back up before we push further down, right? Um, but any given point, right, price can still reject on this weekly because our previous weekly came down all the way to these areas just to flip bullish. But the fact that we did break this low indicates that we are probably more bearish than bullish at the moment, right? But that doesn't mean that next week's candle, right, as I was drawing it just now, if we do get this closure below the range, right, we're understanding that we probably need liquidity, right? Last time price tapped into these areas for this week. So for our next candle, we may be expecting liquidity around these areas, right? Which will be a break of these highs to confirm that this is going to be the high for the week. We'll need the break of the lows, right? And as that's happening, what are we doing? We're filling this range up to here, right? So this is the range we can also target for buys. And then once we come back down to these areas, we can look for sells. So sells and buys can happen at any given point, right? You need to understand what phase you're in, what cycle you're in terms of the market, right? But in terms of just the weekly candle, wait for the closure, right? We haven't got a closure above or below the range yet. You're still in this overall range here. So just be patient, right? We only have one day left, right? And the closure will give you a lot of information as to what is going to happen for next week, right? If your closure is still within this range, high chance you may start rejecting to come back up. This could be a bottom wick liquidity for us to start retesting the highs, right? But if you start getting closure, you also have to think about, okay, is this a fake out to come back in? Or is this actually price looking to come down towards 1972 and eventually down to 1934, right? Cool. So that's your weekly. Wait for the closure. But let's look at the daily. The daily is very interesting. Your daily, no bottom wick, no top wick. And I would say overall, you've kind of closed above, back into this range, I would say. Even if you put your level not here, but like kind of above here, I'm going to leave it around here, and I'll tell you why in a second. But we've got a closure above the range, right? Understanding that overall, in terms of this overall structure here, we're pretty bullish, right? If we're pretty bullish, there's a high chance that this could be a fake out for us to continue retesting these highs towards 2071. But how am I going to be able to get into positions on the daily time frame, right? I'm understanding that last time we got a closure below, we had bottom wicks to come back up, right? Um, Let's have a look at what happened previously around these areas. You closed above, you weren't able to drive, you came back down to these areas to grab bottom wicks. In these cases, you kind of grab bottom wicks around here, 2008. This is your last kind of resistance area around 2006, 2008 sorts of areas. So if you do get a bottom wick, I would say towards around this level, around 2010 to around 2008 levels, which is down towards here. I'll be looking for entries, right? When we do eventually flip back up on the daily. So if this is what I'm understanding is my range that I'm targeting for my wicks to get down to these areas to grab liquidity, then cool. Once that happens on the daily, we'll see this, right? We'll see price come down first because of no top wick. Price can obviously reject, so we need to make sure that this is definitely going to be the low for the day for tomorrow's candle. And as you do flip, cool, we can potentially look to take some buys to continue up, right? And I would say why? Because every single time you did close above back into these ranges, look at this, right? Closure above, filled all the way up to these areas. You respected all the way these times, right? Filled up to at least around 2033. Here you filled all the way up to here. Here you rejected. Here, all of these are rejections to go up. So I'm expecting a similar thing, right? And okay, so now I'm going to explain why I put it at around 2008. Sorry, this level at 2016, right? So I'm looking at this case, right? The last time you did get a closure above here, you'd still filled up to 2030, right? So in your smaller time frame, you still got that range fill. And the only thing that happened is that you basically then, you were in this range for a short period of time, and then you started dropping back below the range. That's all that happened, right? But you still got a breakout and you fill the range. So this is still a valid level, probably on the smaller time frame. Just on the weekly, you can't see it. Sorry, on the daily, you can't see it in very much detail because it's just, bigger candles. But overall, you can see the other ranges that it's respecting. So I'm expecting, price is probably going to close back into the range. Um, so, maybe your bias could be more bullish because number one, your overall structure is relatively bullish. On your time frames for your weekly and your monthly, you're also expecting potentially a flip, even though we're on Friday. But overall, price can't do anything at once. And so let's think about sells, right? Because your daily has no top wick, right? I'm not just looking for buys here. I'm looking for both buys and sells because both of those are opportunities. But I'm understanding that your daily has no bottom wick, no top wick. It's probably one of the worst candles you can have in terms of finding direction, right? Like when we don't have a bottom wick, when we don't have top wicks, it's very difficult for us to get into trades because we're understanding that we need to grab those orders at those levels before we're able to move. So overall, let's kind of drop down to the four. We also have kind of no top wick, no bottom wick for the previous four as well. So if you do want to continue up, what I'd like to see in terms of overall four structure, right, is we've now got a closure back above, I would say. But we have no top wick. So if we could do something like this where we potentially come down, right, start coming down. Ideally, it actually has a little bit of a top wick, right? As it starts coming down, comes down, but it starts respecting this level towards around 2016 with like a top wick, something like that. And your next candle, if it's able to come down, tap these areas, then flip bullish, then you get a closure above your daily kind of opening, right? And kind of you're re-breaking the highs, then there's a high chance you're able to then to fill this range towards around 20, I would say around these sorts of areas here, 2031 firstly, and then around 2035 sorts of areas, right? So that's what I'm expecting, right? If we want to continue getting the buys for the sells, right? This could obviously be break just a fake out for us to come back down eventually. But what am I going to need to confirm that, right? So either price comes up first, grabs a top wick, and then starts flipping down, right? If that happens, then cool. We'll look for potentially breakouts below after a top wick. Again, we need to break certain highs before we're able to come down. And then once we re-break this low, we should have pretty clean traffic towards around, say, like these sorts of areas here. Pretty clean traffic towards around there. 1990, 1995 sorts of areas, right? And then after that, who knows where price is going to go, right? But that's our overall goal, I would say. And the other way I can get sells is if price does come down without a top wick, right? Which it still definitely can. What I'll need is probably a higher time frame, closure below certain ranges, and then also again a top wick maybe confirming the daily highs. So if it creates a daily high for us and then starts re-breaking those, there's a high chance that price is going to continue bearish, right? Because if you wanted to continue up, this move here, this re-break the highs, should be the daily flip, should be some of your 4 hour, potentially hourly flips. As that's flipping, you're expecting volume to push up. But if you're not pushing up and you're starting to come back down, then it's cool, right? That's fine. And then at that point, we're understanding that, okay, there's a high chance that price is going to continue bearish for the day, right? But also for sales, I would say there's one other thing we need to keep in mind, which is that it is going to be a Friday tomorrow. So your weekly candle ideally will have a bottom wick. So, and most candles, I would say, have top and bottom wicks. So if we do continue pushing for the rest of the day and the weekly has no bottom wick, it's going to be very difficult for us kind of next week overall because we won't know if that's going to be a fake out or if price is just going to start dropping the week after that, right? But overall, expect potentially as the daily kind of comes to a close, when you do kind of get these pushes, even if it's really aggressive, you'll see some sort of retracement back up and it will probably leave a bottom wick if it's something like that, right? So if that is the case, fantastic, right? Next week when we're opening, we can look for potentially some top wicks towards around 2006, maybe even slightly higher for liquidity, and then re-breaking those, we should be pretty good, pretty good. But I would say that's basically what I'm looking for. I'm gonna have a look into so the areas that I want buys in probably I'm gonna keep it around 2010 sorts of areas. So I'll put a kind of marking around here. Um, well, I'll just say higher time frame wicks for now. All right, for buys. right? So these are the kind of areas I would expect price to tap, even if it wants to continue going up, right? You're expecting that this four has no bottom wick. You also don't really have a four, so anywhere between 2010 and 2006, I think you'll probably come down to grab a bottom wick around. Ideally, if you do, then you can probably look to take sells once you sorry buys once you re-break these highs, right? Um, and then for sells, let's have a look for sells. So last time we were closing below here, right? That's what we wanted. Right, 2006 approximately. I think we had this, yeah, these areas here. We weren't able to break below. What's your next range up? I'm expecting your next range up is probably around these areas, to be honest, around 2031. Um, yeah, your next rejection area, I would say, is probably towards around here. So if that's where, I'm expecting wicks in general for price to at least if Price wants to make a decision on where to go, it will either need to tap to 2028 or 2010. Once it taps into those areas, then we can see where Price if it taps 2028 and wants to continue driving up, it can, right? But there's just a high chance that if Price taps here, we may see Price struggle a little bit, right? Around this kind of 2028, 2031 sorts of areas. But in general, right, these are the areas. You know how Don always says, I'm expecting this area to get tapped regardless of where price needs to go, and before the move even happens. But 2028 could be in the form of a daily top wick, and then we just start coming down for the day between, I would say, here and here, right? 2028, 2031. But we're pretty close to 2028, so that makes me think: is that actually it? Because your daily has no top wick as well. So at any given point, if you start opening bearish, you may not see a top wick for the daily if this is a fake out to continue down. But yeah, at the moment, I would say price is a little bit more difficult to read today. I would give it around 70, 72%. Um, and at that around 72%, what does that mean? It means that price does not have enough data for us at the moment for us to make a very clear judgment as to where price needs to go. So I'm going to need more candles. We need more candles to print, give me more information for me to continue waiting for the exact setup that I'm looking for. At the moment, that's not printed, and I think throughout the entire New York session, you just did this, which basically was nothing. It was very. I don't think this is tradable. I think it's very difficult to trade this because you're showing overall direction, right? That you're generally bullish, but our overall daily candle, we were closing bearish below the range, most recent, right? We did close right at support. So there was a high chance you had the bottom wick. But, regardless, if you wanted to get into any buys, you probably needed a bottom wick for the daily to break the lows. And then once you start flipping bullish, you can probably look to take that up, right? But at the moment, I mean, that didn't happen for yesterday. So it's difficult, slightly more difficult. Also, last time you broke above these ranges, you just pushed. But you're only coming from around 2002. Coming around 2002, around these areas. Yeah, 2002, around these areas, right? Came up to these areas. That's your next rejection. Came up these areas, tapped. You got some level of rejection around here. Yeah, I mean, those are my levels. I'm pretty sure. If it's not 2028, if it just breaks through, right? If it doesn't really stop for a rejection or a decision, then it will probably just be 2031 sorts of areas, or maybe even higher eventually towards around that kind of 2035 mark around here, I'd say. But at the moment, we just wait. We just wait for price. Not much we can do. But yeah, let's unmute some of the boys.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you? How are we all doing?
Good, good. You, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. Thanks. Did you guys get any trades?
Nope.
Yeah, no trades, right?
Yeah, I have like 10 positions. Not much.
Man.
Just a setup. I've been like sort of sample sizing in my head.
Oh yeah,
Annoying. Yeah, it was like 12:15, 12:30 maybe.
12:30.
Yeah,
Right.
12:30.
This fake out back in.
Yeah, I've been sort of looking if you can take them right at the top.
Or at the top here, or like here. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I'll go
so
here.
so
So I mean, I guess you're just taking like respecting of a certain range and then you just start coming down.
yeah, like we're in a range, randomly breaks up, no bottom wick, closes basically no top wick.
Mm.
Looking at if it creates a top wick first, then flips, then taking that and just having the stop
Above that top
just
wick.
above the top wick. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, continue sample sizing that and we'll kind of see where that kind of goes. I think,
seems to be all right, but
yeah, I think the only
if
time
it's
it would,
like a 50% or higher,
yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, it probably doesn't need to be 50% win rate because your stop is so small. It probably can be slightly lower win rate even.
yeah, I mean, I kind of want it to be 50%.
Yeah, yeah, of
To be
course.
honest, I feel like psychologically going, oh yeah, I'm gonna lose like 9 out of 10 of these, but it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
isn't
exactly.
likely.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
statistically, if you're losing 9 out of 10, you could lose like a lot in a row, a lot more than nine in a row. You know?
yeah, 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 yeah. I would say the only time this probably wouldn't apply is for like aggro, very, very aggro days.
Yeah.
Um,
It needs to be happily sitting in a range, or like away from news.
mm, yeah,
Don't just break up, break down. At least the ones that I've sort of looked at. But
yeah, fair enough, fair
of course, I looked at the 15 before that and went, oh, well, it's not done that, so I'll look away from the chart now because it's just going to come closer.
enough. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, also this 15 no bottom wick and your previous 15 also no bottom wick. I mean, maybe there's something there, yeah.
Look at how hers respecting and then pushed up no bottom week.
Mm.
Didn't quite tap my level, but it's fine.
Explain the onion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, onion, onion, onion. Let's explain the onion. So let's say you have this. Let's say you are bullish coming up, right? Actually, let's say you're bearish coming down. Probably slightly easier to draw. Bearish coming down, right? These areas. Oh, you've got a breakout below. Cool, right? But you haven't filled the entire range. Then have some like bullish closures like this, um, right? And then how does the onion look? Yeah, I mean, in general, I would say the onion is essentially when it's slightly different to a celery, but it's very applicable for a lot of different situations. It's very flexible as a trading style, actually. How can I best explain this? No, I think okay. So let's do this. So let's say this is typically so on your playbook you see so Don's playbook, right? You get like a closure that looks like this, that looks like a small bullish, and then you have like another small bullish like this, right? And then essentially what you then get is a top wick break, and then that's kind of your onion. And what we typically take here is probably, I think, like the break of this high, or so break of this low to continue down. So that's the onion, and your advantage point is down to here, right? But if you think about it, it's actually kind of also the celery in this case, right? Because if you combine these two candles, you essentially just have a celery play, right? But the kind of theory behind oh, that is a very ugly candle, but whatever. The theory behind it, right, is that you've come down, you've broken below a range, right? You haven't filled the entire range, and it's just about grabbing more liquidity. So typically, what we need is probably this candle to have slightly more like of a top wick. And as you have that top wick, we're understanding that cool. We're confirming that if price wants to go up, it would have. If it continued going up, it would have done so here. But the fact that you've now flipped and started breaking this previous candle low indicates that you want to create a lower low. And by that, we're getting an entry around here and we're targeting the next advantage point, which is the range fill. Because when you break into a range, you typically fill it. That's why it's crucial for this candle not to fill the entire range, right?
I always thought the idea was like an example would be a bearish closing resistance.
Like this.
So you come down, you fill the range, and then you come back up
That works as well.
bearish.
I think, yeah, that's another scenario, I guess, like where you have this, where you fill the entire range, right? Let's say you then come back up. You say you reject from here, come back up to here, come back up, and then you do something like this. This is another variation, essentially. That's why but I think this one is slightly harder to understand. But if you do grab a top wick and then come down, again, this is possible, but it's slightly more difficult here because you probably need slightly more liquidity on this candle. And why do I say that? Because you've already filled this range. So you didn't get a breakout, right? In this case, you don't need that much liquidity because you will have enough to probably fill this range. So you just need a little bit, right? But in this case, you've filled the range. You've showed that you have some sort of rejection here. So the top wick area is slightly more undefined in this case. But essentially, I mean, all of the plays in the playbook just come down to candles being printed above or below ranges and then grabbing liquidity in certain places, essentially. I think, yeah, so is the onion taken with the daily bias? Not necessarily. It can be taken with any, basically, but you typically, you don't want to use it on like the 1 minute or like the 5 minute, I would say, because there's more noise. And we typically take it off of like the slightly higher time frame, I'd say, 30 minutes to 4 hour. Uh, Daily is slightly more difficult unless you're looking for swings potentially. Um, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And should I take the trade when the wick breaks the support or when price breaks where it closed? So, I mean, those are different entry types, right? If you want to take the break of the lows, then that's the break of previous higher lows, which is, I think, in the playbook. If you want to take when price breaks where it closed, that's the flip. Um, so if you're taking the flip, then that's fine as well. Question would be, why do you go in when the wick breaks and not the body? Yeah, so there is a delay on stream. Yeah, so if you take a wick break, then you're confirming that there is a high chance that you could create the lower low, right? But between the body closure and the wick, there is still a small gap there. And that small gap is a small range that takes you from, just in the middle of the range down towards the bottom of the range, right? So the break of the previous highs or lows is more of a better confirmation because you understand that once you break that low, there's a high chance you're going to come down to create that lower low. But when you break the body of the candle, there's no guarantee, right? Sometimes when we're in a trade, like for example today, we waited for a sell stop instead of like just a flip, right? On the break of the lows instead of the flip, because there's a high chance if you just take the flip, you know, you haven't broken those lows. So if you haven't broken those lows, your next move might not be the lower low. It might just be price continuing to range in that area. When you want to take the flip is probably when price does something like this, where let's say you have like a breakout like this, right? Your next candle does something like this, where it comes up, creates a very steep top wick that breaks some highs or whatever. So you're understanding that there's liquidity being grabbed. So if you take a sell stop at the break of these lows, there's a high chance that you'll have enough volume to just continue pushing down, right? So in that case, taking this will just put you in a slightly, like, you'll have slightly less advantage to play with because this is a range, right? This range, let's say it's like 5, 6 pips, right? Overall, if this is your 5, 6 pip range and you have a breakout, a kind of sell stop here and you get activated here, you have this overall wick here potentially as an advantage point as well. So say this is like 10 pips, 8 pips or whatever, then when price starts breaking this low, you're understanding that there's a high chance price could create your next lower low. And as that's happening, you can move your stops to break even. Because if it's creating that lower low and then coming back up to flip, there's a high chance that price is going to continue back up, right? And you'll see price doing this to continue up. Yeah. Does that kind of make sense? Do I have Discord or something? Yeah, I mean, there's a members only Discord. If you want to send charts, yeah, I only review charts for kind of the members because I don't really have that much time during my week. Alex, I hope that makes sense. Let me know if that doesn't, and I'm happy to explain it again. Yeah, sounds good, sounds good. Yo, price action today was pretty disgusting, man. I'm not gonna lie. You didn't like news? Which one was news? News was here, right? News was this candle. That is the smallest news candle I've seen in a while. 57 pips. Yeah. This one. Yeah. We closed bullish on the news candle as well. Could you have taken a break of the news candle? Probably not. Any other general questions from anyone? On a 1 hour time frame. Yeah.
Do you think the reason why, despite news coming out flipping, closing bullish, that it didn't actually push was because there was no bottom wick
Um.
on the daily?
Yeah. I mean, like this trickle.
This
I
is
mean, it's just
horrible.
it's horrible. I mean, it's also because like I think if you did have very clear closures on the daily above or below, you would have a cleaner drive. If you close right at support, I would say that's the first thing. Second thing is like overall, you like didn't really grab liquidity or breaks at any of these lows. Like you kind of broke this low here, but you didn't even break like some of these lows. I'm on a 5 minute time frame, right? Like you basically didn't break any lows, I would say. And then you start trickling up. You had no bottom with these candles. Yeah, it wasn't great. And I think the main reason is probably because of the daily closure just right
Okay.
here. Because if we always talk about like when can we expect a no bottom wick or no top wick candle? I mean, either when you have like a really steep rejection, your previous candle has a very steep bottom wick, but then it rejects and respects the level, and then your next candle probably just follows the next momentum and just continues up or something, or these sorts of situations, I would say. Yeah, just not much happened. Even the push afterwards, like at around like six, nah, you couldn't have taken it because it's just you respect it here. You didn't even break any of these lows really, and then you start pushing up. You got a breakout here, no top wick.
It's the second 4 hour candle with no bottom wick.
There's just nothing there essentially. On 1 hour time frame at 2032, scroll to the left. 1 hour 2032 is above around here. Look to the left, you'll see a doji and a rejection, and you consider it an onion. 2032. So this, are you talking about this? Is that what you're talking about, Kartik? Oh, future or business back.
If you're running the 150 pip stop, you would have survived that.
Oh yeah, easily.
If you're taking that as a bullish move, right?
Yeah. I don't
You're looking for a pineapple on either that wick
know.
or
Like
those
this wick or this wick.
yeah.
Potentially. I would say this, not really an onion, because I would say your overall level is a little bit undefined here. You could say it's around 2032. Yeah. I mean, maybe what I would have needed for me to take probably the sells down, because your overall time frames here were like bearish to come down. What I would have needed to see is probably this candle level above. There you see dojis and rejections on the left here at 2032. So 2036, you mean this? I'm assuming it's this. Okay, I mean this. Again, maybe yeah. If you had this massive top width, maybe you could have taken this. Yeah, potentially? What was your range to come down? Because you did fill the range down to here, right? So I mean, it's pretty. It's a 40 pip range. It's not bad. Maybe you could have taken it. I would say. Future Orbis, you told us to buy at 2005. Yeah, man. Just because you tell me to buy doesn't mean I have to buy, right? I will buy when I want, man. Now we're coming down for a low wick to grab liquidity to drive up. I mean, if that happens, fantastic. And that means your analysis is right. You can go first. You can get into the markets. You can get into a trade first. I'll wait. I'll just react, man. If you win, that's honestly props to you, legit. Because that means your analysis is played out, and that's a good thing. At the end of the day, it's like I want everyone to win, right? If I wanted myself to win only, I wouldn't be doing this stream. I'd be probably spitting a lot of lies, right? Saying like, yeah, so breakouts are fake, like what you want to be doing is taking fake outs in the opposite direction, um, and then sell like massive courses for that and like pyramid schemes and shit. Yeah, man. DVS, we're just here to help. Like help people who want some help. Give guidance where we can. At the end of the day, everybody wins. There's so much money in the market. There's so much like we can all be a part of it. There's no fighting that needs to happen. Kartik, is that the right area that we were looking at on the 1 hour? I'm pretty sure it is, right? Oh, I feel like I need to start playing some games as well. But we don't get any trades. So like we're
It's
not
just
rewarding ourselves.
Rocket League with us, right?
Nah, man, I could not play any of those games. I like my fingers move at the speed of like fucking snails, man.
Alright, remember.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like I've never really had like a controller as well. I've never had like a PS5 or PS whatever, 2, 3 or whatever it was, or Xbox. And,
This might be maybe a general question, but
yep.
um, do you maybe have advice on someone who's working full time, as me as an example? And
Hmm.
I unfortunately work literally like the London time and New York time, like literally London open to
Yeah,
closure. And I mean, we all know that also with London closure, like the volume is kind of
kind of dead. Yeah, yeah.
letting off. So
Yeah, so I would say like I guess not to prod too much into your personal life, but like is your job like could you potentially have a couple days a week where you're working at home?
in a previous company, yes. In the
Okay,
new company where I started in November, not right now, but
yeah,
eventually, if things are sorted out. Thing is, I'm working as a sales or business development representative.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's the difficult part. So if you're like constantly in office, it's difficult because you can't really look at the charts, right? You like ideally for definitely for your learning, I would I would prefer if you were able to look at the charts constantly to see, the setups, the entries, and instead of just taking like signals or something like that, right? Um, but overall, if you're not able to, I would say there's a slight possibility that you could take the signals and all of that, and then afterwards you can then review the trades towards the end of the day, like what we kind of do here, to understand, okay, yeah, what's going on. But the main thing you need, I think you'll probably struggle with the job, from what it sounds like, is you need the chart experience. You need to be able to sit there, as much as possible, really, and just stare at price because
Yeah,
you need to look at not just candle closures and all of that. Like, static, when the charts aren't moving, we can analyze this very well, right? But you need to be able to analyze it when it's moving. You need to be understanding, like, as the
exactly
candle
in live
is.
market and not only like past
Exactly,
days.
yeah. Because when the five candle is moving, it will move in different speeds, right? And the different speeds will also it's very crucial to be able to understand, oh yeah, so this scenario is potentially going to lead towards this, and then as you're seeing it live, you'll get more experience that is more beneficial than just looking at the charts statically every day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually that's also what I'm doing. So basically, when Dawn goes live, it's for me is done for the day with calling and sending emails.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
basically, I put the AirPods in and listening, and then basically, when he calls it, I'm entering also the trade, and then afterwards, when I'm coming home, I'm literally sitting down and looking where he entered the trade, and then analyze it afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, I mean, just do what you can. I would say, like, if you want to take trading very, very seriously in the future, you can potentially like try to scale in 1 day a week just to do trading, or just be able to look at the charts. Maybe you can like request 1 day of just working at home or something like that. But it's kind of like it's a little bit more difficult because you have the dependency, which is the job, which is why like I tried to find something which is very well, I was lucky enough to find something which allows me to stay at home quite a lot.
Hmm.
But yeah,
No, sure. Like, I think it will be possible in later on when
yeah,
things are
yeah,
more sorted out. We were already talking about it, and
yeah. I
yeah,
think just chart experience is the main thing. So as much as you can get is probably the advice there.
yeah. Now I
Yeah.
think also with the course of DVS or from Don, uh, I was actually able to grab one of the codes for it
Oh, nice, nice.
from the video, and yeah, I think that helps also already a lot. Even though it's just I'm learning with like previous or past data,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
with the live it's quite hard.
I think he's also updating the course relatively soon, so
Yeah, he should do it soon. I think also that
there
I've heard.
should be a lot of new content coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I hope that by like next year, bro.
yeah. I mean, I had a discussion with him. He was like, "Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff that's coming in." I was like, "Okay, is there anything else that I don't know?" And he's like, probably not." So,
Yeah,
if,
wasn't he out like teasing about something like that also on stream already?
yeah, I mean, it is coming out. We just don't know when.
And
But
with the new stuff, I mean, like there was something really special that he
oh, the
was doing,
Pam.
like talking with Wix. No, I think even something different, like
Oh,
with some sort of setup or so. That was
oh,
actually
when he's like sample sizing stuff and like,
yeah, yeah.
that just comes over time.
All right.
Yeah, he'll just try and drop it 1 day. He'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take a, I don't know, something entry," and then it's like, "Yeah, okay, cool."
Yeah, I think that is
I
also
think
very
I still remember the first time we took like the wick entry, bro. He was
It was
like,
like,
"Yeah,
"What? Wait, what did you just do?" Oh, that was pretty nuts. And then I think it was a win as well. Yeah. Let's go
I
through.
think he said his stat for week entry is something like 98%.
It's pretty
Remembering
ridiculous.
we're like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Theoretically, it should be the scariest one to take.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you have full direction and liquidity, that's what we typically wait for, and then we take the wick entry. It's a lot safer than it seems. Um, so, well, I mean, that's what it's been proven to be, right? 98%. No losses in 4 months, 5 months. So,
Yeah,
seems to be doing
technically
well.
wise, you can get a bit of drawdown, but if you're
Could, yeah,
risking correctly, then it's no problem.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Um,
was it Johnny or Tom that was so lost? Like I feel like a few months ago with his risk management. Now, okay,
Might be me. I
I don't think anybody
one of
was
y'all
really.
lost.
I don't know.
Johnny lost, but one of y'all, I remember, you were saying that you had risked like your whole account, and then definitely not me.
Oh,
oh
yeah,
Johnny.
oh yeah, when I moved the stop and took like 7 pineapples.
That's when it was.
oh, lovely.
That wasn't even that long ago. That was only like a month, so that's good.
Well, it
That's
was
good.
only like 3 months,
Yeah.
maybe. It's in my journal somewhere. Shit, that was in November.
Oh,
The
wow.
start of November.
It's 3 months ago. 2 months ago, 3 months.
2 months.
Ah, you've come a long way.
Yeah, that's crazy. That felt a lot longer ago.
Could you tell me about your observation on daily fair value gap? I now know what FVG is, but I don't know what a fair value gap is, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I can just tell you that the daily has closed respecting a support, and because of that, you could just see a rejection come up. But if you do want a rejection, you're probably going to see a bottom wick. Don't know where. I'm preferring it around 2010 before you're able to drive up towards wherever you need to go. But if it comes up first, high chance you could come down. So it's difficult today. Today is it's not too clear in terms of price action at the moment. So I'm just gonna wait. Doesn't always have to be clear, right? Do you expect rejection or drive in 3 minutes? Well, whatever happens, I'm not expecting anything. If it comes up, then it comes up. If it comes down, then cool. But I can't take any trades until New York because I'm going to bed, bro. Yeah, you're staring at candles for 4 hours a day as well. Yeah, chart experience. Kartik, you took in way too much knowledge and now you suck at basic things. To be fair, I actually had that earlier when I was like learning a lot from Don and like all the streams, and then afterwards I was just like, shit, I forgot how to calculate lot sizes and like stop losses. And I was like, oh shit, this is really bad. And then I couldn't really take a trade because I was like, I don't know what to risk. Um, and then it kind of sorted itself out after like a week or two. But you just kind of have to remind yourself of some of the basic stuff as well, or even like the very basic like setups like breakout celery and like top wicks, bottom wicks, and all that very basic like candle structure as well. You sent a screenshot to the stream on Don's server. I mean, where on Don's server? Don's server has like many, 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 many different channels. It's gonna be difficult to find unless you tell me exactly where that is. Elvis, do you know when Don's PAM is gonna be ready? No idea. I mean, he wanted to drop it like 9 days ago, right? But I guess it's a little bit held up now. We're just waiting for. I think he's just waiting for a number at the moment. So we'll see. Well, it'll be ready whenever it is ready, right?
Oh, by the way, I copied it into the channel.
You copied into Evolution.
Yeah.
Safe. Right. So let's see what this is. So what is your question? This is the level you were talking about on the 1 hour. So is it this? It's this, right? Yeah. So you were looking for this. I guess you closed bearish down to here. I think no, this is not an onion to go up. This is definitely not an onion to go up because an onion is continuing in the direction that price is moving. The only way you could have got into a trade here is if price closed, I would say, I don't know where the level is, but like probably like above here or somewhere, right? Like above here or something like that. Like if price then on this candle closed above here, so like these candles close like this, right, with no bottom wick or whatever, some small bottom wick. The next candle then comes, breaks the lows, because then you're confirming, oh, okay, this is likely to be, a continuation of bearish momentum, right? But if it then flips to break the high, you can expect that you're going to continue breaking the highs because you've already done all of this, right? So I would say the onion would only be valid if you had this massive break the lows. I don't know to where, I haven't kind of detailed that, but overall, it needs to break this level for sure. And once it breaks that level, yeah.
Do you need in particular two ranges for an onion play?
I mean, this is the higher time frame, so yeah, probably on the smaller time frame you'll see ranges. But as long as you have liquidity, I think that's probably the main thing. Because your range one, range two, like when you kind of think about it, right? If you have your range one, range two, let's say we're building the structure in, right? So you've come down, done this, and come down to here. If you want to reverse anyways, you need to break out above, break of here, and then continuation above. So you can take this to fill this range as your advantage point, right? So this is just this. So if this is your range one, you can take potentially the range one breakout after liquidity, because after liquidity, this is a range as well. You see this?
Yeah.
So now that's your range one, range two breakout, break of these highs, you're good to go up.
All right.
Yeah. So your ranges are adaptable because this wick here is a range. Like there's range going down, and you've probably filled some sort of range there as well.
Makes sense.
That's a good chart.
Thank you.
That's right. Fantastic chart. You're holding cells from 2012, so you're in drawdown. 2012. Let's have a look where that is. Holding cells 20. Okay, so you're around here.
That's a lot of drawdown.
I mean, depends what your position is, right? Where is your stop loss? Where were you expecting price to go? When did you get into the sell? Because if you got into the sell like after, I guess, potentially after news, it's a little bit difficult. But overall, you're understanding that it's difficult to tell at the moment. Price can go up, price could go down. Even if you do go down, sorry, even if you want to continue up, I'm expecting a bottom wick, but I don't know if it's definitely to come back into this area, I would say, right? You don't have a stop loss or TP, right? I would say probably think about where to have your stop loss because I don't know how much you're risking, so I can't put your stop loss or TP in for you. But overall, even if you were expecting price to drive up, I would say you'd expect this daily candle to have a bottom wick. Where this bottom wick is, I have no idea. Right? It can tap into 2010 as we're expecting, or even lower to continue flip down. But at the moment, it's impossible to tell. Um, for us to get into positions, I can tell you what I would like to see, but that doesn't mean price definitely needs to do that, if that makes sense. So for the daily, right, we're understanding that there's no bottom wick for the daily. Does that mean the price definitely will come down to these areas to grab bottom wick to flip up? No, not necessarily, right? Um, but I would say you have one thing that's going for you, which is there is a chance that this is a daily fake out to come back down, because your overall most recent kind of daily structure is bearish, right? You grab liquidity here, you had your push to come down, you filled the range, but you're overall bearish. So if you do then close back below 2016, or maybe below like 2019 sorts of areas on the daily or on the smaller time frame, there's a high chance you will come down to fill the range towards around 2010, 2012. So once you do get that closure above, closure back below, there's you should be okay. But until that happens, it's difficult to tell, let's say. Hey, B Radley's here. B Radley's always here. Japan CPI out in 20 minutes, we will see a big move. Typically Asian session, even the news, it's not like it's usually just like a small yellow folder or something. Won't move it too much. Keep a mental stop loss this daily. Gonna make a top wick till 2030, I believe, then flip and go down. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If that does happen, then it's kind of similar to our analysis, right? It's right, Pro Galaxy. I would say, next time when you're getting into a trade, definitely try to calculate where you want to put your stop loss and where you want to put your TP. Not based on how much money you're going to make or lose, though. Base it on structure. If you've understood anything from today, it's that you need to put a stop loss and TP based off of your overall market structure. And as that's happening, right, you then calculate how many pips that is, and then put the according risk. Don't do it the other way around. If you're thinking about, oh, I can only risk $100, then it's bad because then your stop loss will only be $100 and it's not a logical stop loss. So price can tap that level at any given point.
So when do you get all tomorrow's news?
What is tomorrow's news? Let's check.
They're also kind of late compared to other news events usually.
Is it 1:30 p.m. London? Oh no, it's 3 p.m. 3 p.m.
Actually.
What are we expecting? This is greater by 0.1. Greater is good for bad for gold. This one, which is also just slightly greater, bad for gold. This is not. This we just don't know for this one. We're expecting bad for gold, and also if you're re-breaking, once you came down, you rebroke these lows after grabbing liquidity. Yeah, I mean, you should see a push. This is potentially the push though, so I don't know essentially. If price wants to come down, and you start re-breaking this low, yes, you can probably look to take some positions to come down towards these sorts of areas, towards 90.75, or whatnot. But if price comes up first and then flips, that's gonna be better for us, I would say, in terms of the position. Mainly because you can take sells slightly more aggressively because of daily no top wick, and your 4 hour constantly has no bottom wick as you come up. But overall, I would still say like any given point, this could be like if you just zoom out just a little bit more, right? Higher time frame, fake outs to go up all the time, right? Yeah, these ranges here broke down way below, started flipping up to continue up. So that could happen as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How can I manage the DVS stop loss with a smaller account? Well, I mean, unless your account is smaller than like $100, you can definitely risk the appropriate amount, I'm pretty sure. Like 100 pips on a 0.01 is $10, I'm pretty sure. So in that case, yes, you're risking 10% of the account on that one trade, but it's $10. So it's still okay, right? So your risk is around uh, $10, which is 10%, but it's okay because your account is very, very small. But overall, just calculate what the stop loss needs to be, right? Which is say 150 pips or whatever, and then just risk 1 to 2%. If you want to risk more, because you can, and you have like more portfolios in general, and like combined, it's a risk of like 2 to 3% or something like that. Then that's fine as well. Yeah, definitely looking the daily fix. I mean, a lot can happen here. Like, price can go in any direction. No top wick, no bottom wick for the daily. Your weekly has rebroken its lows, but it also is kind of coming back up to sit around here. Like, or it could just continue to drive down if your news comes out really bad. Like, a lot can happen, and it's difficult to tell, I would say. Just like that's the good thing about what we do, right? We just wait, we react. Same question for like 10K account. If I risk 1%, 0.1 lots. Here's one. There's no way you can clear that account without taking these like $10 a day. No, 0.1, right? On 100 lots, that's $100. 0.01 at 100 pips is $10. But if you're risking 1% on a 10K, then 0.1 is 1%. Yes. For our stop loss, right? See, when you're thinking about need to risk more and have a live account, then you're just thinking about money, right? I'm just thinking about how I can look at the market and find a win. I just want to win. I want to beat the market. That's it. Because if I'm understanding that, like my skill in trading and my skill in the markets is that I'm going to be consistently winning, it doesn't really matter how much I make or what percentage I make. As long as I'm over time making more than I'm losing, right? And a percentage that is positive for the month, that's all that's required. And then over time, if I want to increase that risk, I can. On 100K, you can use like a one lot. I think a one lot was fine because a one lot with 100 pip stop loss is around 1K, right? And I don't know what FTMO daily drawdown limit is, but I'm guessing at around 5%. So if you have one position, which is at one lot, and it's like full stops, let's say like 200 pips max, right? Around 200 pips. That's 2K, right? You can still have another pineapple because it's going to be within the 2K mark, right? Your stop loss is going to be the same, so it's going to be less than 2K. So two positions at one lot at 200 pips is around 4%. So your total risk, if you have two pineapples, is around 3.5%, I would say. Um, and I would say that's probably doable. I was using a one lot. But again, it depends on your style. Depends on how you want to trade. If you're not trading exactly how we're trading with like the massive stop losses, then probably using a higher stop loss, higher lot size would work for you. Like if your stops are only like a maximum of like 50 pips, right? Then yeah, you can adjust your lot size according to that. Cool guys. Any other questions from the Zooms? If this is the last day of the week, guys, I'm gonna feel very lonely during the weekend.
No, not me.
I think Jacob's flying over to cuddle with me, so I'll be fine. Jacob, have you packed yet? Man, it's so sad. He doesn't really care about me actually. I'm just he just he's cheating on me. Fucking dickhead. What's my bias for today? I have no bias at the moment, I would say. It's very, very mixed today. I would say I'm actually like, in terms of biases, 50-50. Um, cool guys. I'm gonna probably end it around here. Zooms, I will see you on Sunday. But thanks for joining up this week. It's been a great week. Had some good discussions. Sunday is gonna be Psychology Sunday as usual. So if you have anything to do with psychology, yeah, jot them down and ask on Sunday. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you for the weekend.
Cool. Yeah. Cheers, guys. Have a good weekend. Yeah. See you guys. See you guys.
See ya.
See you. See you. See you. For the YouTube live, thanks for coming. Yeah, I usually end off YouTube live a little bit later, but yeah, thanks for coming this week. It's been a pretty good week, right? Overall, we've kind of dropped quite a lot of value in terms of education and breakdowns on the streams. We've understood, a lot of different scenarios in terms of price action, biases. We've talked about liquidity, talked about a bunch of things, right? We repeat a lot of it, like 80%, 90% of it every single week, but that's what we need, right? We need to consolidate that learning. We need to repeat, rinse and repeat so that it kind of drives into our brain. Um, but that's kind of the reason to come back for Sunday, which should be a pretty good session. We'll watch the market open after the weekend. But before then, hope everybody has a good weekend. It's been a good trading week, and we've had basically positions every single day besides today. We'll see about tomorrow. Um, but if you're done trading for the week or whatever, just take a break, right? Because gold doesn't exist you can't trade gold on the weekend. So take it as like an actual break, and then back on Sunday or Monday, make sure you don't try to chase trades to come back into the markets, right? Because the markets don't owe you anything; it can do whatever it wants. And there's a lot of people who will actually lose money to the markets on Monday. Doesn't mean you can't trade Mondays, but just trade Mondays as if you would trade any other day, because it's the same. It's just another day, right? But yeah, essentially that's going to be it for the week. Thank you very much for all your support. We had our first evolving member, which is one of our tiers. So thanks to Paul Cripps for joining up. Thanks for the support. But yeah, we will see all of you on Sunday. Peace out and have a good weekend, everyone. Thanks for all the support this week. Peace.